The cloud, and we're getting ready to go live here. Setting up our meeting for Facebook. Says meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. I'm just waiting for, okay, we are good to go. Here we are, you guys. Another episode of Health Coach Tip Tuesday here with Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. I am Jen Maleka, business mentor and certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And I am joined here with Reed Davis, the founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, and one of our course advisors, Jess Del Pino. Today, we are going to be talking about key steps to improve gut function for a stronger immune system. And if this is a topic that you are particularly super interested in and you want more information about it anyways, go ahead and drop the word gut below our video, and we're going to instantly send you our gut bugs and metabolic chaos guide, which we're going to dive into and talk a little bit more about today, actually. So as we wait for some of our people to join on with us, let's just welcome ourselves a little bit. So Jess is joining us from Austin, Texas. How is it going over there with you today, Jess?
Pretty good. Nice and sunny and warm. Spring is definitely in the air.
Good. Texas is recovering from that crazy ice storm that we had a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And we've got Reed joining us from our East County area of San Diego. Tears for my students. Is that what your coffee mug says there, Reed? What are the tears for? You're so overjoyed with how many students are doing wonderful
tears of joy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I am Jen here in the west side of San Diego, closer to the beach, enjoying a sunny day here as well too. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started here, you guys. So for those of you who joined us last week, we talked about with Brandy last week, why gut bugs are the contributor to and the result of something that we call metabolic chaos. So today we're really kind of continuing on with that discussion and going to be talking more about the key steps to actually improve gut function for a stronger immune system. And again, if you guys want to learn more about this, drop the word gut below the video to instantly get our gut bugs and metabolic chaos guide. So Reed, why don't we start with just recapping a little bit about the discussion from last week to kind of set the tone for today. So tell us, give us a recap about how gut bugs are the contributor to and the result of metabolic chaos, because I know with my clients and the people that I see out there talking around, out in the social media world or wherever it might be, a lot of people are saying like, oh, I have candida and I did a candida cleanse or a parasite cleanse and it didn't actually fix me. Like they might have felt better for a little bit, but then their symptoms come back or something else is happening. So when we talk about gut bugs, guys, we're talking about bacteria, parasite, and yeast overgrowth going on in the intestinal lining for our clients. So Reed, give us a recap how gut bugs are the contributor to and the result of metabolic chaos.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Well, it's kind of like asking which came first, the chicken or the egg, and because people do have gut dysfunction, but is that the problem or is that the result of the problem? So, you can almost never answer that question, but what you have is an ecology that gets out of balance and just, it can really get into a downward spiral and you can end up with these sort of bigger bugs. So it could end up that you just have normal flora, but it's out of balance. Not all flora, even normal flora, is good and considered a good beneficial bacteria. So if you take antibiotics, for instance, you might get out of balance. You kill all the bacteria, but the good ones seem to come back a little bit stronger than before. I've heard it said many, many times that most flora is good, friendly flora. About 15% of it isn't. It's considered the more like bad bacteria, let's just call it that. Well, why would you need that in the first place? Why isn't it all 100% good? Well, because you need the bad bacteria there to keep the immune system hovering, to keep it active. If you had no bad bacteria, you'd have no immune system. You wouldn't need an immune system. Then if something harmful did come along, you'd get your butt kicked. So you've always got this sort of hovering of the immune system due to there's always some uh, balance between good and bad flora. And then if you do almost anything to kill bacteria, you're going to kill the good bacteria along with the bad, and then things would come back in bad shape. It's kind of like a garden where just if you don't watch out, weeds will grow, and pretty soon they could dominate the entire garden. And I've heard Paul Chek, a friend of ours, refer to it as your garden, which has an ecology. So which came first? It's really hard to determine. But so if you get out of balance, then you can get the bigger bugs. You just start being more susceptible. You become a better host to the bigger, let's call it worser, the bigger, worser bugs. So you might end up with an H. pylori infection. You could have some of these bugs are very opportunistic. You could have an overgrowth of fungus and these kind of things. Then even parasites, which are considered, sort of the bigger, uglier things. Then all of a sudden you've got that. And so when you get to that point, those things are the result of metabolic chaos, just these imbalances. And then they contribute more to it. They're very toxic. So now you got toxins too, and these things floating around the body going, and they can get through the gut into the system. They become very systemic. And you can be in real kind of in a real mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the things that's always stood out to me, Reed, that you've said is like whenever we see gut bugs like parasites, bacteria, yeast overgrowth on a stool sample test, you got to ask yourself, or the client has to ask themselves, like, why am I a good host for that? Right. And looking at that, kind of that ecosystem that you were just talking about. And I think, and there's even more pieces of the puzzle. So like one of the things in the FDN approach that we're looking for is hidden stressors, right? So we know, for example, that distress, like any kind of distress in the body, the body will create biofilms and negative biochemicals that actually contribute to this concept of metabolic chaos and directly impact the ecosystem of the intestinal lining. So when we're looking for, hidden stressors that also contribute to metabolic chaos, like metabolic chaos is the overarching, kind of problem that's going on. What are some of those other kind of hidden stressors that make somebody a good host for things like gut bugs?
Yeah, it's like you said. Another way to look at it would be you have some people might not like this analogy, but you got bums, like living in a bad neighborhood, and you can chase away the bums, but if you don't fix up the neighborhood, they're just going to come back because it's a good place for them to live. It's just so you got to. Matter of fact, there's some cities that tried this. They just started repairing every broken window in the city. They found that when all the windows were fixed in a building, it was less likely to be inhabited by unwanted people, critters, so to speak. So what we do is we coach down those contributors to metabolic chaos, the bacteria, the funguses, the viruses, the other, the imbalances. Also, food sensitivities loom really, really large in my mind. We coach those things down. We try to eliminate those, but you also have to coach up function. So you bring back a lot of circulation and improve the mucosal barrier, the lining of the small intestine. You make it better at absorbing nutrients. Well, at the same time, it's able to kind of repel or protect you from anything bad coming down the pipes.
Mm-hmm.
So if that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you're all constantly breathing and drinking and eating. You're consuming germs and chemicals and things like that. And they're just sure to upset the apple cart if you aren't also detoxifying and neutralizing those things.
Right, exactly. So Just want to like welcome other people that are joining on with us. I see Christy here, Paula saying you got some cool glasses on, Reed, Cindy as well. We're here talking about the key steps to improve gut function for a stronger immune system. If you guys are really interested in learning more about this, go ahead and drop the word gut below the video, and we're going to instantly send you our Gut Bugs and Metabolic Chaos guide to dive deeper into this topic and see how you can utilize this information to improve the immune system of yourself as well as the clients that you're working with so that you can help them on a deeper level. So we kind of just did a recap of what metabolic chaos is, continuing on from the conversation that we had last Tuesday about why gut bugs are the contributor to metabolic chaos and the result of, and kind of starting to talk about what are some of those like, hidden stressors that are contributing to this. And as FDN practitioners, this is one of the reasons why we actually run a series of lab tests, to look at the hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy, and nervous system, and all of these, hidden stressors that might be kind of happening within these systems of the body that are contributing to one, metabolic chaos, but also two, making somebody a good host for gut bugs. And when we're able to identify these hidden stressors, it actually presents healing opportunities so that we can resolve metabolic chaos and we can actually create, long-lasting results for our clients so that things like candida and parasites don't really come back. So Reed, let's talk a little bit about some of these other tests that help us, to gain insights about gut bugs and what's going on in the immune system. I would say I've had clients come to me that they've said, well, I did a stool sample test and I treated candida, but again, it like came back because there's more pieces to the puzzle than meets the eye, right? So tell us a little bit more about some of these other lab tests that we're running as FDN practitioners that are looking at this bigger picture and looking for these hidden stressors.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll say learning this, by the way, was quite a challenge. This doesn't come from attending some seminars, although I've been to lots of them. My real strength, I guess, is the clinical experience. I worked in an office for 10 years, running thousands of labs on thousands of people. And I had great mentorship, some of the early pioneers of alternative medicine back then. But I made a lot of my own observations. I started putting pieces of the puzzle together myself. And one of the first things I noticed was that the same test I ran on one person that helped completely resolve their problem. I mean, whether it was migraines or asthma or skin conditions or fatigue or you just kind of, you name it. And I thought, boy, the next person with that problem, I've dialed it now. And I'd run that same lab or even two, and it'd be like, no result. Oh man, like it didn't help. So it flabbergasted me at first. Then I started realizing how unique in how biologically diverse we are and how everyone has different weak links in metabolism. And so just what works for one doesn't work for another, because even though their symptoms might be the same, what's going on upstream is really diverse. So I learned this pattern, and it would call it the hidden. You kept mentioning hidden, but that actually stands for hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and nervous system balance, if you will. And so if you don't nail all of those things, and maybe look at oxidative stress too, that's kind of an overarching enemy, so to speak, then you're just guessing. So that's why you're finding customers or clients who say, well, I already did a leaky gut test, or I already did a stool test, or I've checked my hormones already, but they haven't done it all. They haven't, and what they've done instead is work on one or two things. I've heard even functional medicine practitioners say, well, I specialize in gut, or I specialize in skin, or I specialize in whatever it might be. And that, in my mind, it follows too much the model in standard medicine that isn't working for anybody. Matter of fact, it lets doctors off the hook. If a doctor, and we're talking standard medicine here now, and they want to do good in the world too, but they are kind of hiding behind their specialty. They're saying, well, I'm a gastroenterologist and here's what we do for this or that, maybe drugs, surgery, whatever it might be. But for your hormone problems, you've got to go see an endocrinologist, or for your whatever, you go see this other. So they're kind of passing the buck. They're really not helping people. So people are stuck going from one practitioner to the next, trying to treat these individual things. That, believe it or not, is a huge thing wrong with standard medicine, and it's being unfortunately just kind of what I see in functional medicine too. So what I learned to do and what FDNs do is we treat every cell, every tissue, every organ, every system, the entire organism all at once. And so you have to have a complete holistic lifestyle program that deals with every cell, tissue, organ, and system. So you have to look at the things that are going to have an effect on everything. You know, everyone knows you should eat right, but does that treat one thing? No, it treats every cell, tissue, organ, and system in the body. Your rest, like resting your body, resting your emotions, resting your soul, even, you know, does that treat any one thing? No, it treats every single thing. So diet and rest and exercise and stress reduction and supplementation, you really need it to be comprehensive, all inclusive, and it's not that hard to do when you know the steps to take. And that, of course, is what we teach in the course.
Right, right. So I want to get Jess's 2 cents on this, but just before we get there, Jess, I want to just welcome anybody new that's joined on with us. We're here talking about the key steps to improve gut function for a stronger immune system. If you're really interested in this topic and what we're talking about, go ahead and drop the word gut below the video, and we're going to instantly give you our gut bugs and metabolic chaos guide. And this is a follow-up from the conversation that we had last week, talking about why gut bugs are the contributor to and the result of metabolic chaos, and how we can actually get long-lasting sustainable results for our clients when we're addressing the bigger picture here. Now, Jess, I know you know, part of what encouraged you to become an FDN practitioner is that you were having your own kind of like digestive issues, like IBS stuff that's going on. I'm sure there was some critters going on in your gut. And you work with clients on this stuff. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about, you know, how this, the FDN, you know, approach, this methodology has helped you to heal yourself, and how it's helping you to heal others too, when we talk about gut bugs and immune system stuff.
Yeah, of course. So I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when I was maybe 12, 13, and was dealing with it for 20 years. And exactly like you said, Reed, it's like I went to a gastroenterologist and he only focused on one aspect. And when I approached him and stating, oh, I want to try this probiotic, and he was like, oh, probiotics don't work. I'm like, you're crazy. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I was making more strides, like going through and doing some strategic supplementation. But what I was missing was looking at the whole picture, like you're saying, not really focusing on realizing how much of an impact diet really had on me. Not really understanding that the rest aspect, doing the proper types of exercise for myself. But really the stress aspect was a huge part that I didn't really put all those pieces together, because you can eat all the right foods, you can rest and get enough sleep, you can exercise every day and the proper amount, but if you're not reducing and managing your stress well, and you don't know what the triggers are, that's a very quick domino effect. And that's not just like stress from work or stress from your life, it's also internal stress. Like you said, with doing these tests, what was impactful to me was to find out these opportunities within myself that I could really focus. So running a stool test wasn't enough. I needed to also run a hormone test, and I needed to see where my metabolism was at with the metabolic assessment test, running a food sensitivity test, getting all of that sort of understanding. So then I wasn't wasting time taking away this food or trying this sort of thing. I had a clear plan with everything in front of me. And that was really what was so helpful with going through this process of, you know, getting trained from FDN and doing this on myself first was to really understand that it takes time, but it's less time when you have all of the pieces in front of you.
Right.
Like, we like to call ourselves health detectives, but how can you
And
be a detective if you don't have all of the clues?
well, and as long as you have time, because I want to give a nod here and say that we're not anti-medicine, anti-doctor, anything like that. I think we're the perfect complement. FDN is the perfect complement to evidence-based medicine. Doctors are really good to work on emergent conditions and situations. We make our observations, and then over that period of time, we can help someone restore or reverse the downward spiral, the chronic stress-related downward spiral, as long as there is time. If that chronic stress-related downward spiral is this long, in other words, they're going to die in 2 days if they don't get the right treatment medicine, then the observations we make, the hormones, the immune, none of that is important. And so the observations we make, we do need to be able to work with someone for a period of time to reverse those things. You could look at it as, you lived yourself into this mess that you're in. You can live yourself out of it. We just were fortunate enough over the years to discover the steps and the order and things people can do, because everyone needs to be in control of their own health. But again, the downward spiral, if it's really contracted, well, that's what modern medicine is for. And it's why we work so well with physicians. If you're the victim of a drive-by shooting, you're not going to call your nutritionist.
No. But you're so right. Like, I've been dealing with this for over 20 years, and 2 years later, I'm really starting to see the impact of all of the work that I've been doing. And I still have so much to do, but
Sure.
I've been in positions where, I've had to go back to my doctor because it's a more immediate situation.
Emergent. It's an
Mhm.
emergent thing, like good grief. So I had a client once, and we were working together for a very short period of time, and she told me, new to me, hey, I've been having headaches. And I said, okay, well, I started doing my approach, which is to investigate, well, what's different? When did you start getting them? And, I was able to figure out that it was because she had started taking the supplement that she was having a bad reaction to. But she said at the same time, she had called her doctor and made an appointment for a brain scan. He wanted to have a brain scan. So, there's the two different approaches. One guy or person, is there to make sure you don't have brain tumors. And that's a good thing. And then, but we're there to say, well, what could be causing these, that's not a brain tumor, an emergent situation. So they really work pretty well together. And she didn't have a brain tumor. She was sensitive. She was sensitive to something that I'd warned her about.
Right. So good. So good. I want to welcome, I see Dale on here. Carl is on here. Welcome our new people. If you guys are just joining us, we're here talking about key steps to improve gut function for a stronger immune system. And if you love this conversation or want to get more information about it, go ahead and drop the word gut below the video. We're instantly going to send you our Gut Bugs and Metabolic Chaos guide to help you heal yourself, as Jess has been talking about and sharing, and help you, heal your clients on a deeper level. And let's start to tie this in, because we're, coming up on time here. Like the actionable things that you can do, to actually improve gut function for a stronger immune system. So we've been talking about how, a weak immune system is the result of this overarching concept that we talk about in FDN called metabolic chaos, which is complexities in one's metabolism from various different areas. Like they've got hormone imbalances, they've got leaky gut stuff going on, they've got food sensitivities going on, they've got things in their nervous system. Like that is the lens that we look through, is that we usually run a series of tests to look at the hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy, and nervous system to collect all of the clues of the picture, because they're all interlinked. We know that the systems of the body are not isolated, they interact with each other. And so we need to be looking at all the systems of the body at the same time to truly understand what is going on upstream or downstream, as Reed was saying. And then we're able to utilize the objective data from the lab test to recommend more personalized approaches for the individual client. As Reed mentioned earlier, what works for one person is not going to work for others. So oftentimes, like we'll see clients coming to us, or maybe you guys that are watching, you do this, is that you recommend a general anti-inflammatory diet that eliminates things like gluten, dairy, sugar, and soy. But what if that person has additional food sensitivities that you're not taking a look at? So that's one example of a test that we run in the series of tests that we do with somebody to identify their specific hidden stressors and those healing opportunities. We can omit those food sensitivities, which is going to help them heal. It's going to reduce the stress and inflammation that's happening. We can start to kind of work backwards and reverse the metabolic chaos scenario that's going on. So Reed, why don't you talk a little bit more about actually these steps to improve gut function for a stronger immune systems, and specifically our trademarked proven system, the Dress for Health Success protocol that we apply, and how the lab tests and everything that we're doing kind of relate to that.
Well, we certainly test for food sensitivities in every person. We look for mucosal barrier assessment. We want to know the health of the gut. Do you have leaky gut? And leaky gut comes in various degrees, obviously. And so you want to look at that on a spectrum, more or less. We look at things like zonulin, for instance. Zonulin would tell us if you have leaky gut, if bacteria and unwanted antigens and things are penetrating into the submucosa. They're going to get into hepatic portal, they're going to go to the liver. Eventually, they're going to be distributed throughout your whole body, and they will cause chaos. So we just look at you got to really simplify it, I think, for people. The gut does two things mainly: digestion and immunity. 75% of your immune system's in the gut, so we want to take care of it. I think starting with the food you eat and digestion, the idea of having that be really healthy is a great way to look at it. You obviously food, you want the right foods. There's no one diet right for everyone. We use a metabolic typing system along with food sensitivity testing. So you want to see your food, smell your food, chew your food, swallow your food, have really good, strong stomach acid. That's critical to having a healthy gut. There's a book called Why Stomach Acid is Good for You by Jonathan Wright, with a W, Jonathan Wright. Everyone should read that book, understand it. Really good, strong stomach acid, and just chewing your food properly is really important. Then it's going to go into the small intestine, where you need bacteria to help break it down. It's not ready to be absorbed yet. The digestion in the stomach is really important. You're breaking down proteins and things, but it's going into the small intestine, where now it really gets a chance to be finely pulverized into microscopic particles and absorbed through diffusion into those villi and basically into the liver, where it gets even more processing. But that's the critical point right there, because you've also eaten germs, and there's just other elements that need to be sequestered and neutralized and escorted out, and for the most part. So I think starting with just really good digestion is the best way to improve and start to improve your immune system, which largely 75% of it's in the gut. So having really good, strong hydrochloric acid, having a lot of enzymes. And if nothing else, you could take HCl and enzymes and see how that goes. Now, we don't like to rely on supplements. It's eating right and getting rest and exercising and all these different things. But man, if you could just eat the right foods and have really good digestion, the breakdown of foods, you'd put a lot less stress on the mucosal barrier in the gut, which is the beginning of the immune system. Mm-hmm. So it could really sort of start there, and then look at the trail, look at the progression, that downward spiral. What does that look like? Mm-hmm. And we mentioned it, the dysbiosis, that gets worse. Now you get bigger bugs. Now you got antigen penetration into the gut. It's now going into the systemic, humoral immune system. Now you're taking that off, and you could be in real trouble. You could end up with every kind of condition, from lungs and the skin and all the other detoxifying organs can get dysfunctional, and you could have a mess on
Yeah. That's great, Reed. I mean, I know, like in my personal experience, when I started as an FDN practitioner back in 2012, one of the things that brought me here to you that I was like, I was searching for answers for was because I had debilitating seasonal allergies that I didn't have as a kid. Like they kind of started in my 20s, and that was definitely a sign that my immune system was flared up and something was going on. And I was actually just thinking about this morning as I was out on my run today. Spring, just the official first day of spring was over the weekend on Saturday. And normally this time of year, I would be getting a little bit of like an allergy irritation. Like it's gotten, from doing this work and running the lab test on myself and seeing what my own healing opportunities have been and doing the work and applying it, my health has improved like 100-fold for one. And every single year, like my allergies have gotten less and less and less intense. And as I was out running this morning, like normally I would have some type of like allergy irritation going on with all the pollen and what's blooming and everything that's happening right now. And I've got none. And I'm like, wow, this is just a testament to like, not only can we resolve it, but like as you continue to practice these lifestyle behaviors that are guided through the test results and things that we're using, like there's an opportunity to feel even continually better than your clients or that you feel like right now, over time. And I'm sure you've experienced something similar too, right, Jess?
Oh yeah. When I, a couple of years ago, was coming out of an ulcerative colitis flare up and I was starting to do FDN, I have guinea pigs and I would give them hay and I had to like wear a mask and put on gloves because it would just irritate my skin and I would be sneezing all over the place. And, just very quickly addressing things in a methodical way, it's not even an issue. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
months it went away because it was a very acute thing. But to me, it's just a clear indication that my gut is more sealed than it was.
Yeah.
And I attribute that to all of the work that I've done here, but also knowing like it's not going to be any one supplement or any one kind of thing. You can only supplement when you know everything else that's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd cause people to have a little bit of caution too when it's trying to think about key steps to help your gut function when you're talking to clients. Whatever you might suggest to them, I would do the full assessment first before you're like, here, take this probiotic or take
Yeah.
this. It sounds great, but it might not necessarily be what that particular person needs
Right.
just yet.
Otherwise, it's like taking a shot in the dark, right? Well, we'll start to wrap it up here, you guys. For anybody that's kind of catching the end of this, we've been talking about the key steps to improve gut function for a stronger immune system here with Reed Davis, our founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, Jess Delpino, one of our course advisors and certified practitioner herself, and I'm Jen Maleka, one of our business mentors and practitioners also. If you guys want more information about this, go ahead and drop the word gut below the video. We'll instantly send you our gut bugs and metabolic chaos guide. This guide is really cool. It actually shows like all these contributing factors and kind of, the vicious cycle that we've been talking about today, which gives you some of the insights on how do you start to heal the gut and improve immune function. So as we leave off here, start to sign off here, you guys, Reed, is there anything last things that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Well, generally we coach up function while we coach down the contributors to metabolic chaos. And those contributors, like, I'm wearing these true dark glasses that someone mentioned because, the idea of blue light has if you just get it for 10 minutes a day, you probably don't have to worry about it. But sometimes I sit here in front of my computer for 10 hours. And I do leave, I go outside, I do stuff, lots of sort of ongoing coaching up of function and reducing those contributors to metabolic chaos, but becoming more and more aware of how toxic the environment is. Dr. Jaffe, a friend of ours, he says that we're all marinating in a toxic soup, a stew of sorts. And so we can mitigate against that in many, many ways. And it comes in all shapes and sizes, from the food you eat to the company you keep, to the way you express yourself, to your point of view. If you look at the world as a cup half full, about to get fuller, you're going to be much happier than if it's just what you don't have and how the cup's half empty. And how come everyone else has all the luck and things like that. It's really a complete holistic program and lifestyle that allows us to pursue health, achieve a higher health status, and then be happy.
Great, you guys. And if you dropped the word gut below the video, you should instantly get a Facebook message from us that's going to give you access to that Gut Bugs and Metabolic Chaos guide. So our team, I'm sure if you didn't get it for some reason, Jess can help follow up with that too. And thank you everybody for joining us today. I hope that we will see you back here next Tuesday, as we're here every single week for Health Coach Tip Tuesday, giving you tips, tools, and resources that you need to confidently help you solve your clients' health cases and to improve your own health at the same time, so that you can do the work that you want to be doing in the world and being successful while doing it. Thanks everybody for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for being here, Jess.
Thank
And
you.
Jen.